Ted DiBiase and Versace loafers. Oh, why did I do that? If you guys know where that's from, then you're awesome. Anyways, I got a pretty good showdown battle for y'all today or tonight, whenever you're watching this. And I'm actually using a team that I got from Thunder Blunder. His channel is going to be down in the description, guys. He does upload narrated Wi-Fi battles and is a very good battler above that, so highly recommend you to go check him out. Anyways, looking at the teams, the team is kind of stall-based. But it is a very fun team, and as I said, it's a good battle. Looking at the rest of my opponent's side of the team, though, Jellison and Rachi seem to be the only two real things I might have to watch out for, especially if Rachi is Scarf. But he does have a major weakness to ground types, which means the MVP in this battle would definitely be my Gliscor, which ultimately should be my lead. As I do lead off with the Gliscor, he's going to be leading off with the Rachi, and something in the back of my mind was telling me that he has Ice Punch. He has Ice Punch, yet I stay in, don't go for Protect, then go for Taunt, thinking that he will want to get up his Stealth Rocks. So I get smashed by an Ice Punch. Luckily though, it's not stabbed, and Gliscor has very good bulk, so I'm going to be able to live, get my Toxic Orb off, and then the following turn, I'm going to go for the Protect just to be able to gain some HP. As he goes for another Ice Punch, I switch directly into my Jellison, and even if he had frozen me, I do have the Scald, which Scald does unthaw Pokemon from freezes, so I could have just always gone for that. As he brings in his Jellison, I thought that the Will-O-Wisp was way too obvious, so I thought that he would want to switch into Heatran. Then again, why would you switch in a Heatran on a Jellison? So that was kind of stupid on my part. As the following turn, I go for the Will-O-Wisp. As he goes for his own Will-O-Wisp, he actually ends up missing. Now, I had about 7 battles prior to this one where I missed all first of my Will-O-Wisps, so I really didn't feel bad that he missed that Will-O-Wisp. And then on my switch into Gliscor, he actually turns out to have the Giga Drain, which I never see on Jellison, but I can see why he would carry. I mean, he can hit ground types, and he can hit opposing water types, so I guess it isn't too bad of a coverage move. As then I switch in my Gliscor on the Giga Drain, I am then going to go for the the Protect to see what he wants to do, as he turns out to just go straight for the Ice Beam, allowing me to get a free switch into my Tyranitar. Then he freezes me, and oh my lord, I was so frustrated. I was literally pissed off. Luckily though, I get the first turn thaw as he switches into the Donphan, allowing me to get up my Stealth Rocks, which means that freeze did not matter whatsoever. As he, as I said, he brings in Donphan. Obviously, I don't want to take a possible Earthquake, or I don't want him to Rapid Spin away my Rock, so I switch directly into my Jellison. And then I go for the Taunt, thinking that he would want to switch into Jellison to be able to take the Scald, and that way I could prevent him from going for the Will-O-Wisp. But he makes a good play, predicts me to over-predict, stays in and goes for the Earthquake, gets off a good amount of damage on my Jellison. As the following turn, he makes another good play, brings in the Jellison on my Will-O-Wisp. Then again, Jellison being burned is kind of the perfect switch into my own Jellison, and obviously I don't want to get burnt, so I'm just going to switch directly into my Fortress, as he ends up going for the Recover, which really wasn't too bad of a play, just because now he is at a good amount of HP. But here, I don't really care if he does want to go for the Will-O-Wisp, because I can just start setting up my spikes, and as long as he does an Earthquake on my possible, wow, if he has Donphan in, as long as he does an Earthquake on my possible Jellison switch in, then I don't have to worry about him being able to go for the Rapid Spin. As he brings in the Heatran, the fact that he could go for the Fire move is so obvious that I know he's going to over-predict. So what I'm going to do is stay in and go for the Rapid Spin, spin away the rocks, as I can now bring in my Tyranitar. And from looks of his team, nothing really wants to switch into a superpower. I mean, yes, he does have the Jellison, but then he would be hurt by Sandstorm, by the Burn, and by the Hazards, and be forced to recover, as I can freely switch out. If he wants to bring in Donphan, I can just switch into my own Jellison, and even then I am faster than Donphan, so I should be able to go for the recover, especially not having to take the extra damage from the Stealth Rocks, which means his only real thing that he can do is just basically leave in Heatran for Death Water, because as long as I have Tyranitar around, Heatran will not be doing anything to my team. So I managed to take out the Heatran as he now brings in the Jirachi. I obviously don't want anything on my team to take any unnecessary damage. As he does go for the Iron Head, I can now get a free switch into my Gliscor as I go for the Protect, which on hindsight was really stupid on my part, because I should have gone directly for the Earthquake, because I possibly would have been able to take out this Jellison. Unfortunately I didn't, and now I am fearing the possible Ice Beam, so I'm going to switch directly into my Fortress, as he actually doesn't end up going for the Recover. I guess maybe thinking that I would want to risk possibly taking him out, and if he did have a chance to live, he could in return knock out my Gliscor. But no, I did make the safe switch into my Fortress, and again, he doesn't go for the Will-O-Wisp, but he does end up switching into his Jirachi, which I found to be a bit odd, but not really thinking my play through. I thought he would just go straight for the Iron Head, so I switched directly into my Gliscor, and this is why he brought it in, to lure out my Gliscor and just annihilate it with an Ice Punch. And with Gliscor gone, that Rachi has become an even bigger problem than it already kind of was. So knowing that he would want to switch out, obviously fearing the Will-O-Wisp, I decided to go straight for the Nightshade, as I do manage to catch the incoming Jellicent. Now looking at his team, as long as I don't miss a Will-O-Wisp with my Sableye can basically win me the battle. And of course I missed my first Will-O-Wisp, which I guess makes up for his first Will-O-Wisp miss too. But luckily for me though, he actually makes a over prediction and predicts me to want to switch out and goes for the Pursuit. And judging for how much damage that Pursuit did, this thing is definitely banded, which means me being able to get off the Will-O-Wisp is really going to be good, because now I can just stay in, recover up until eventually he dies off to the burn. But he makes a bit of an odd switch directly into his Donphan. I don't really know why. Then again, if he did just keep in Tyranitar, I mean, eventually it would have died off to the burn, and either way, he then would have more than likely just brought in the Donphan. Or even if he brought in Terrakion, I can always Will-O-Wisp that, and I can always Will-O-Wisp Jirachi, barring the fact that I don't miss. So luckily I don't miss my third Will-O-Wisp, and I'm able to hit the Donphan, and at this point I can just basically recover up until eventually he'll be brought down to a point where I can either knock him out with the Nightshade, or if I really want to, I can just constantly keep going for the recover. And because Nightshade did 27%, sorry, I believe in the next 2 turns or so he should be brought down to a point where I will be able to knock him out with the Nightshade. Not to mention that thanks to my hazards, he really has nothing to safely switch into on my Sableye. I mean, he could switch to Terrakion, but then again, I do have the priority Will-O-Wisp, and as long as I hit it, Terrakion will no longer be a problem. So after this next turn of burn damage, he is brought down to a point where Nightshade will be able to knock him out. As this turn, I believe he's actually going to switch directly into his Rachi. And basically, if I miss my Will-O-Wisp here, then I more than likely might actually lose the battle, because he could potentially flinch my whole team to death. But thankfully, Sableye is wearing his Go-Gogoggles. He is not missing a single Will-O-Wisp minus the one that he missed earlier on the Tyranitar. And much like Donphan and Tyranitar, I can just stay in and keep going for the recover. But because I'm pushing my luck way too much here, I know eventually he is going to crit me. So I decided to switch into my Jellicent, because with Jirachi being burned and me resisting Iron Head and having hazards up, Jirachi is going to stay in and not do much to my Jellicent with the Iron Head. He does get the flinch as I tried to go for the recover, but really it doesn't matter. And he's going to bring in his Tyranitar, and this thing is burned, but it's also banded, and that just goes to show you how powerful banded Tyranitar is. Just because, yes, Crunch is stabbed and super effective, but Jellicent really doesn't have the worst defenses around, so I was actually a bit surprised that he managed to take me out. But now I can bring in my Fortress, go straight for the Gyro Ball, take the Crunch like a monster, and with Terrakion being his last and this Fortress being pretty bulky, I can take any one hit from Terrakion and in return knock it out with the Gyro Ball, but he gets a crit. Now, it also turns out that he's Life Formed, which means he actually has a chance to win this battle. At least that's what I was thinking. So I'm gonna bring in my Sableye. Luckily, I do not miss the Will-O-Wisp, but he makes a very good play, predicts that, and goes for the Swords Dance. And on the following turn, I thought that me going for the recover was way too obvious, so I actually go for the Nightshade, but he predicts that and goes for the Stone Edge, and it basically all comes down to whether or not my Latios is going to be able to outspeed this Terrakion, which at the time of the battle, I didn't realize this Latios was max speed, and luckily for me, she is, and I'm able to knock out the Terrakion for the very narrow 1-0 victory in my favor. So that was definitely a fun battle. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it, and if you did, you know what to do. With that, enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy the rest of your day, and I am out of here. Later.